Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn about the three diversion rules and how they helps us to understand the movement of the market. Okay, you can see a new diagram available in the notification section. If you open the notification button, you will find a visual explanation where the entire structure is shown clearly. Okay, so first diagram it is of motive and diversions. In that diagram, you can also download this diagram by clicking on download button. Okay. So in that diagram, you can also easily observe what actual motive of the market is and from which point the motive begins to change. Okay. At the same time, it also shows how many times market divert before finally reaching towards its motive. So, while the market may have a clear destination, it rarely moves directly towards it. Instead, it keeps diverting multiple times along the way before completing the move. Okay, so first let's understand where we can access these three diversion signals. Okay, these three. All right. So to begin with, the DV demand value is an AI based feature. This means that if you want to see diversion, you need to have the advanced plan activated because DV is available only in that plan. All right. Once you enable, the DV value appears at the top middle section of the option chain interface. Now let's talk about the second thing is max value strike border. Okay, if you want to see this feature, you first need to enable it from the option chain filters. Here down it is given max value strike border. Okay, after enabling it, you will start noticing that the volume and OI cells the strike where the maximum change has occurred compared to the previous time interval will be highlighted with a black border box. Okay, this border box helps you to quickly identify where the most significant activity is happening. Okay, now second is PE minus CE. Third one is PE minus CE behavior. Okay, so PE minus CE behavior, you simply need to click on the change in OI column of the strike you want to analyze. Once you click on it, the graph for that strike will open, okay, allowing you to observe the PE minus CE movement of change in OI behavior in detail. All right. Now let's assume that the market is falling and you are planning to take a bearish trade. Okay. So before entering the trade, the first thing you should check is whether the first thing you have to check that whether there is any bullish diversion present at the top. To verify this, first we have to observe is DV demand value. We check whether the demand value at that point is greater than 90. For example, if DV is showing values like 100 or 150, it indicates that strong bullish diversion may be building at that level. In such a situation, even though the market is falling overall, there is a possibility that it may move upward temporarily because continuing downward. Okay. On the other hand, if the DV is below 90 or even negative, such as 100 or minus 150, that then it actually supports our bearish view. In that case, the conditions are more favorable for the bearish trades. Alright, so this is how we interpret DV to detect possible diversions before entering in a trade. Okay, so now let's move, and the second thing we need to check is, since we are planning to take a bearish trade, okay, we must confirm that there is no strong diversion being created by maximum value or OI that could push the market upward. Okay, to check this, we observe the option chain. Specifically, we look at the put side near the strike from where we are planning to take the bearish trade. If a black border box appears around that strike, it indicates that maximum activity is happening at that particular strike during the time. If this box appears there, it suggests that heavy trade is happening at that strike, and there is a possibility that the market may divert upward from that point before continuing its move. However, there is an important point to note that if the black box appears in the volume column, it still can be considered as a possible diversion signal. But if the black box appears on the OI column, then we must confirm it by checking the change in OI of put writers. Okay. In that case, we click on the change in OI of that strike and we observe that the change in OI of put writers is increasing or not. If the change in OI of put writers is increasing, then we consider a valid diversion signal. But if the change in OI of put writer is not increasing, then we will ignore that signal and do not treat it as a diversion. Alright. Rule number 3. PE minus CE change in OI diversion. Now let's understand the third diversion signal, which is based on the PE minus CE change in OI behavior. Here we observe the difference between put change in OI and call change in OI. To understand how option writers are positioning themselves in the market, to check this, we simply click on the change in OI of that strike where we are analyzing the trade. Okay, once the graph opens, we look at the PE minus CE, that is in the blue color line movement. Now, the interpretation is straightforward. If the PE minus CE value is increasing, it means strong put writers are becoming stronger compared to call writers. This generally indicates that bullish diversion, that means the market may try to move upward before continuing its main trend. All right. On the other hand, if PE minus CE value, if PE minus CE value is decreasing, okay, so it means that call writers are gaining strength compared to put writers. This indicates bearish pressure at the market is more likely to continuing moving downward. Okay, one important thing to remember is that we should always observe the trend of PE and CE. for a few minutes, not just a single tick. Ideally, we watch the 9-minute behavior around the 3 change in over ticks, okay, to understand whether the trend is actually building or not. This helps us to avoid reacting to temporary fluctuations and gives a clear picture of the real diversion happening in the market. All right, understood this? So these were the 3 diversion rules that helps us to understand whether the market may temporarily divert before continuing its main move. By checking DV, max value strike border, and PE-CE behavior, we can identify possible diversion points and avoid entering trade at the wrong places. The idea is a simple. Instead of entering the trade too early, we first recognize the diversion and wait to complete and then take the trade in the direction of the main trend. Okay, this small adjustments can significantly improve trading timing also and a risk management also. So if you found this explanation helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe the channel and share it with the fellow traders, and stay connected because in the upcoming videos we will continue exploring a more advanced concepts of the LOC trading system. Thank you.